I'm Jay McMahon, and I'm running for Massachusetts Attorney General. I want to introduce myself to you, tell you who I am. I've been born and raised on Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Right out of high school, went into the military. I eventually became a second lieutenant in the Massachusetts Military Police, and I was trained to command a battalion level, which is over 1,000 people. I was also the payroll manager for Cape Cod Hospital, which has several thousand employees, and I was part of management there. And I became a lawyer, and I've been a lawyer for 35 years, having graduated from Suffolk University Law School in Boston. Part of my early experience, I was in law enforcement. I was a police officer. I was also on the Barnstable County Sheriff's Office. And I've learned a lot and have come to respect law enforcement. I want to become your Attorney General. I have the business experience to run an office like the Attorney General, and I also have the legal background, having had a litigation practice, and for 35 years, I have been in every single level of court in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. We have some serious issues facing us here in Massachusetts. There's a huge erosion of our civil rights. I intend to stand for the citizens of the Commonwealth for their First Amendment rights, parents who have a grievance before a woke school committee. I will stand with those parents because my personal belief is they're not domestic terrorists. They're concerned parents and taxpayers. I will stand for your Second Amendment rights. We have a serious problem in Massachusetts as to the opioid crisis. I want to tell you a little bit of how that affects me personally. My oldest son died in 2008 from an opiate overdose. He was a war hero from Iraqi freedom. He got injured while under enemy fire, and he was treated with his injuries were treated with OxyContin, and the story gets worse from then on. We have an opioid crisis here in Massachusetts. In 2018, when I first ran for Attorney General, we had 1,800 deaths a year, and it was climbing. It has since climbed to now 2,400 deaths. That's 2,400 people each year dying of the opioid crisis. Now, how is that happening here in Massachusetts since we are the medical capital of the world? Well, it's because government officials are not taking this problem seriously. Mothers are taking it seriously. I've heard calls from mothers all over the Commonwealth whose children have died of taking certain drugs that were laced with fentanyl, only to wind up dead, and the police not having enough resources to trace down the source. I will not be involved in defunding the police. I'm going to do just the opposite. Why would we defund the police when we have a crime wave here in Massachusetts? I'm going to help the police, I'm going to encourage the police, and I'm going to work with the police so that we can resolve the crime that are in minority neighborhoods. We need more police, not less police. And that's what I will do. I will also attack the opioid crisis. I have a three-pronged approach to do this. First, we need effective rehabilitation. The government programs have a dismal response to that. Private pay programs are successful, some as much as 85%. Well, that's huge. And I want to translate the private pay success into the government programs. And I will enforce that for you and for your family members who are trapped in the opioid crisis. The second thing we need to do is dry up the source of heroin and fentanyl on our streets. Right now, it's pouring over the borders, our southern borders, and it's coming up here into Massachusetts. We need to be hard-hitting when it comes to illegal drugs on the streets. Now, that hasn't always been the way with our present Attorney General, because she's treating Massachusetts as if it was a sanctuary state. I will work with our federal law enforcement partners to dry up the source of heroin and drugs on the street. So I'm asking you to consider my candidacy and vote for me, Jay McMahon. My website is attorneyjaymcmahon.com.